Beloved, I ask you, what world have you been building with your words? For every phrase you speak is a seed, and every seed will, in its appointed season, rise into the harvest you now behold. If your life is a garden of lack, then somewhere, sometime, you have sown the weeds of doubt. But if you would speak only the language of faith, the divine substance would rush to clothe your every word with form. The universe listens, not to your needs, but to your decree. What you boldly affirm in faith, you will surely see in fact. Tonight as you rest, you shall plant words of wealth so radiant that in the morning the angels of supply will hasten to bring them to pass. This is no idle dream. This is the law of the spoken word, and the law never sleeps. Are you ready to speak in such a way that the riches of heaven bow to your command? Then stay, for before this night is over, you will remember who you are and the power you wield. And when this word has entered your spirit, like a fire shut up in your bones, your world will never be the same again. If your soul is ready, then subscribe now, and let us walk together into the kingdom of abundance. Beloved, you stand at the threshold of a great unveiling, for the kingdom of heaven is not afar off, hidden behind the clouds. It is within you, waiting to be spoken into visibility. The law is simple, yet the proud miss it, and the humble discover it. What you speak in faith becomes the flesh of your reality. The invisible bows to the spoken word as surely as the clay obeys the hands of the potter. All creation listens for your decree. From the beginning God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. He did not wish for light, nor plead for it. He declared it, and the substance of the universe obeyed. This is the pattern for all manifestation. The decree comes first, the form follows. Divine substance, that invisible, intelligent, inexhaustible matter from which all things are made, is obedient to the voice of faith. It is quickened by the word, and clothed in the shape you have announced. Many live as beggars before the throne, hoping, pleading, waiting for their good to arrive, yet never understanding that they themselves are the channel through which the good must come. Your mouth is the gateway of miracles or the prison door of lack. Out of your own lips you either release the angels of supply, or summon the locusts of loss, for life and death are in the power of the tongue. Thomas Edison once said that ideas come as clearly as the sunrise, but only to those who are ready to receive them. And what is readiness but the atmosphere of faith? Edison spoke to his inventions as though they were already here. He gave them welcome before they had taken form. In this, he mirrored the divine law, for he spoke into the invisible, and the invisible obeyed. I tell you this truth, the world you see is but an echo of the words you have spoken in days gone by. If your present life displeases you, you must speak a new word. You must rise from the grave of idle spaja, each and prophesy to the bones of your own destiny. Say to them, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord, and they shall come together, bone to bone, sinew to sinew, clothed in flesh, breathing with the breath of abundance. Napoleon Hill, in his search for the laws of success, discovered that every man who rose from poverty to wealth had, at some point, spoken the word of determination that no failure could silence. Andrew Carnegie, steel magnate of the age, once said that the man who knows exactly what he wants, and keeps saying it until the world believes him, will always get it. Why? Because the world is but a mirror, and mirrors only reflect what is held before them. You may say, but I have spoken prosperity, and still lack surrounds me. Then I ask you, did you speak in faith or in fear? Did you speak as the child of the king, or as the orphan of fate? The words that move mountains are not those muttered in hesitation, but those flung like thunderbolts from the citadel of certainty. The moment you decree in perfect faith, the universe begins to rearrange itself to honor your command. In my own ministry, I have seen the law work in ways that stagger the imagination. A woman once came to me in despair. Her rent was due, her cupboards were bare, and no friend could lend her aid. She said, I have nothing. I replied, you have your word, and your word is your wand. I told her to speak aloud. The supply is here, in perfect abundance, and it comes to me through the avenues of divine order. She obeyed. That very afternoon, an old employer, who had forgotten to pay her a final wage, sent a letter with a check for the exact amount she needed, to the penny. She did not beg God for supply, she declared it. And supply came, for supply is obedient to the spoken word. You must understand that divine substance is never absent. It is everywhere present, awaiting the mold of your word. It is like the clay in the hands of the sculptor, or the blank canvas before the artist. Michelangelo once said that he saw the angel in the marble, and carved until he set it free. So too must you see your abundance in the invisible, and speak until it is set free into the visible. The law does not respond to whining, nor to half-hearted wishing. It responds to the living word of faith. The moment your word is charged with conviction, it becomes magnetic to the forms and conditions it names. Speak sickness and you magnetize disease. Speak health and your very cells will awaken to vitality. Speak lack and you close the gates of supply. Speak wealth and the gates swing wide. This is not mere poetry. It is divine law, as immutable as gravity. Consider the lilies of the field. They neither toil nor spin, yet Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Why? Because the lily lives in obedience to the law of its being. It does not imagine itself to be a thistle, nor cry out in envy to the oak. It simply expresses the pattern placed within it by the Creator. So must you express the pattern of your divine inheritance. And that pattern is abundance. To do less is to insult the giver. Dr. Frank Crane once wrote, "You are not punished for your sins, you are punished by them." In the same way, you are not rewarded for your faith, you are rewarded by it. The law is impartial. It brings forth the harvest of whatever seed you sow with your words. If your speech is filled with anxiety, you will reap confusion. If your speech is rich with gratitude, you will reap more to be grateful for. The soil does not care whether you plant wheat or weeds, it will bring forth both with equal generosity. Therefore, you must guard your tongue as a king guards his treasure. You must refuse to speak one word of lack, doubt, or limitation. You must speak only the word you wish to see made flesh, for your word is creative. It builds the path before your feet and lights the lamp for your journey. Walt Disney, the dreamer of kingdoms, once stood on a patch of barren Florida swampland and declared, "Here will rise the happiest place on earth." Others laughed. They saw mud and mosquitoes. He saw castles and parades. His word became flesh, and today, millions walk in the dream he once spoke. Such is the power of a man or woman who dares to speak their vision as though it were already so. This is why I say, never speak defeat. Never repeat the reports of fear. If the doctor declares you ill, you may acknowledge his diagnosis, but you must deny its permanence. Speak instead, "This is passing. My body is radiant with the life of God." If the bank account is low, do not rehearse the lack. Speak instead, "Infinite supply flows to me now. Rivers of gold rush to fill every channel." Prentice Mulford, that mystic of the mind, wrote that every thought you think is building your unseen future, and every word you speak is sealing that future in form. The careless word is like a thief, robbing you of your own treasures. The wise word is like a royal seal, marking your destiny with the stamp of divine approval. It is written, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." This is not a suggestion, it is a command of the law. To refuse to speak your good is to refuse the harvest. Many have faith in the power of evil, but no faith in the power of God. They speak of their debts as though they were eternal, but doubt the promises of abundance. I say to you, reverse it. Speak of God's supply as eternal, and doubt the appearance of lack, for appearances are but shadows, and the light of your word will scatter them. Ella Wheeler Wilcox, poet of the soul, once wrote, "The man who radiates hope and cheerfulness, who believes in success, is bound to be successful." Why? Because he speaks, consciously or not, the language of increase. He opens his mouth in alignment with the truth that abundance is his birthright, and the law cannot deny him. Carl Jung taught that what you resist not only persists, but grows stronger. This is why the law of the spoken word must be joined to the law of non-resistance. For to speak your good, and then resist the path by which it comes, is to undo your own decree. You must speak the word, release it, and walk forward as though it were already fulfilled. Remember, your word does not return void, but it may take a road you did not expect. Divine supply often arrives through strange and wonderful avenues. You may decree wealth and find it arriving as a new idea, a chance meeting, or an unexpected offer. The unwise will reject these because they do not match their picture of how it should come. The wise will recognize the hand of God and receive it with joy. Beloved, I say this. Tonight, as you drift into the sacred temple of sleep, your words will be like seeds planted in the fertile soil of the subconscious. Speak them in faith before your eyes close. Say, I am one with infinite supply. Every cell of my being is saturated with wealth. Opportunities flow to me in perfect order, and I receive them with gratitude. Let these words drop deep into your spirit, for while you sleep, the law will work without haste and without rest. And when you awaken, speak again. For each morning you are Adam in the garden, naming the creatures of your day. What you call them, they will be. Name this day blessed, prosperous, and filled with divine encounters, and so it shall be. Beloved, there is a throne within you, and upon that throne sits the ruler of your world. You are spoken word. If you would change the condition of your kingdom, you must change the decrees that issue from the throne. For every word is a law passed into being, and every law shapes the destiny of the realm. The law does not consult appearances, it consults only your decree. You have seen men rise from nothing to greatness, and others fall from wealth into want. This is no accident, no caprice of fortune. It is the fruit of the word spoken in faith or in fear. G.I. Gurdjieff taught that man is a self-developing organism, and that he becomes mechanical when he forgets his power of conscious creation. To speak unconsciously, to complain without thought, to curse one's life in jest, these are the habits that place the soul in bondage to its own careless speech. It is the vigilant watchman who prospers. He does not allow the enemy of fear to enter his gates, nor the spy of doubt to steal across his walls. He stands at the door of his lips and asks of each word, "Are you of God, or are you of lack?" If the word does not bear the seal of divine truth, he refuses it passage. Swami Vivekananda, the Lion of Vedanta, declared, "We are what our thoughts have made us, so take care what you think. Words are secondary, thoughts live, they travel far. And yet, beloved, the word is the thought clothed in flesh, the visible soldier of the invisible general. The thought commands, but the word marches, and where the word marches, manifestation follows." I have known souls who have spoken themselves into illness and poverty by rehearsing tales of woe, until the very cells of their bodies bent under the weight of their confession, and I have seen others speak themselves into radiant health and overflowing wealth by refusing to give their tongue to anything but praise. Praise is the language of increase. Gratitude is the tongue of heaven. If you would ascend into abundance, you should speak as though you already dwell there. Consider Orison Swett Marden, who founded Success magazine and inspired millions to believe in their God-given potential. As a boy, he lived in poverty, orphaned and alone. Yet he filled his mind and mouth with the language of success, copying by hand the inspiring passages he found in borrowed books. In time, his own words became a fountain of inspiration to the world, and his life mirrored the success he had so faithfully declared. Divine substance is no respecter of persons, it is a respecter of words. It will fill the mold of the richest man or the poorest child, if only the mold is made by faith. Your word is that mold. If you speak lack, you carve a mold of emptiness. If you speak wealth, you shape a vessel ready to receive the gold of heaven. It is not a question of deserving, it is a question of alignment. The river flows to the lowest point. Your faith lowers the drawbridge for the river of supply to flow into your life. I recall the story of a man who came to me, bound by debt and fearful of ruin. He said, "It is no use, I owe more than I can ever repay." I told him, "Then speak not of your debt, speak of your supply. Say aloud, Infinite Spirit, I am fully paid, and I rejoice in my freedom." He obeyed. Within weeks, unexpected income arrived through a business contact long forgotten, and the debt was cleared. He did not beg for a miracle. He announced his freedom, and freedom came. The Bible says, "Let the weak say, I am strong." It does not say, "Let the weak complain of weakness." It does not say, "Let the poor recite their poverty." It says, "Let them say." For the saying is the creating. You must speak the thing you desire, not the thing you fear. The enemy of your soul would have you describe the mountain. God calls you to speak to it. There is a hidden arrogance in refusing to speak the word of faith. It is to imagine that your situation is beyond the reach of God's law. It is to exalt the appearance above the Creator. But when you speak the word, you align yourself with the truth that no circumstance is final, and that the power which spoke the universe into being can speak your life into harmony. Andrew Carnegie, whose fortune built libraries across the land, began life in a one-room weaver's cottage in Scotland. As a boy, he declared that he would someday be rich and use his wealth for the good of many. His word became the seed, and his industrious faith watered it. In time, the steel of his speech became the steel of his empire. The law does not require you to know how it will come, it requires you to speak as though it already is. And yet, many sabotage their own harvest by speaking both life and death in the same breath. They declare abundance in the morning, then curse their finances by noon. They speak health in prayer, then tell their friends how ill they feel. The law responds to the dominant vibration, the strongest, most repeated word. If your affirmations are seeds, and your complaints are weeds, which will grow faster in a well-watered garden? This is why you must starve your weeds and feed your seeds. Annie Ricks Millets, a great teacher of truth, said that every word we speak is a prayer. Some prayers are answered in joy, others in sorrow, but all are answered according to their nature. If you would pray without ceasing, then speak only the language of that which you desire to see. Beloved, never underestimate the creative power of a whispered word. The word need not be shouted to move the heavens, it need only be spoken in unwavering faith. Jesus himself said, "If ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence, and it shall remove." The mustard seed is small, but it is whole. So must your faith be, not large, but complete. Christian D. Larson wrote, "Believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there is something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. That something is the image of God, and it speaks through you when you open your mouth in faith." Your word is not merely sound, it is spiritual substance made audible. I have known those who carried a secret ritual. Upon waking, they would speak a blessing over their day, their work, their home, their loved ones. They did not wait for the day to prove itself worthy of praise. They set the tone by their word, and the day, obedient to the law, rose to meet their decree. The wise farmer does not wait for the field to sprout before he sows the seed. He sows first in faith. Do not despise the small beginning of your word. A single sentence, spoken daily in faith, can topple the fortress of lack. Your word may seem weak at first, but it is like the hammer striking the rock, blow after blow until suddenly, the stone breaks and the hidden spring bursts forth. Ernest Holmes, founder of religious science, taught that the word is the mold into which the universal substance flows. The mold may be small at first, but as you speak in faith, it widens to receive more. There is a rhythm to creation, the word spoken, the silence of trust, the manifestation in due season. Speak, and then rest. Do not dig up your seed to see if it is growing. Let the law work in secret. Jesus likened the kingdom to a seed that sprouts and grows, he knoweth not how. Your work is to speak, God's work is to bring it to pass. Every great figure in history has, consciously or unconsciously, used this law. The inventors, the poets, the leaders, they spoke their vision into the atmosphere of faith, and the universe rearranged itself to make room. They understood that to speak is to set forces in motion that no man can see, but all can feel. Your words are messengers, running ahead of you to prepare your way. Beloved, I would that you understood the majesty of your own mouth. You are the high priest of your own temple, and every word you speak is an offering upon the altar. Offer only that which is worthy of the God who dwells within you. Speak not as a beggar outside the gates, but as a royal child in the palace, declaring what is yours by divine inheritance. Now, I would have you pause for a moment, yes, even as you listen, and speak aloud these words. I am the beloved of the infinite. My word is law in the kingdom of my affairs. I speak wealth, I speak health, I speak joy. And it is so. Feel the shift within you as the vibration of these words settles into your bones. This is not imagination, it is alignment. You have just set in motion the forces of your own deliverance. As you lie in the stillness of night, let no idle word escape your lips. For in the darkness, the soil of your subconscious is rich, and every seed will take root. The words you speak before sleep will rise to greet you in the morning. Speak of abundance, and you will awaken to opportunity. Speak of joy, and you will meet it on the road. Beloved, the law of the spoken word is your divine inheritance. Use it, and you will be as the sower who reaps 100-fold. Neglect it, and you will be as the field left fallow, where weeds grow unchecked. But tonight, you have heard the truth, you have felt the fire of it, and you will never again be able to say, I did not know. From this night forth, speak only as one who knows that heaven stands at attention to perform your decree. Beloved, the word you speak is the seed, but faith is the sunlight that draws it into bloom. Without faith, the seed remains dormant, buried in the soil of doubt. It is written, according to your faith be it unto you, not according to your need, nor your longing, nor even your prayers, but according to your faith. For faith is the invisible bridge between the spoken word and the visible manifestation. Without it, your words are as arrows without a bow, falling short of their mark. Faith is not a trembling hope, it is a royal certainty. It is the deep knowing that what you have spoken is already established in the invisible, and must, by divine law, appear in the visible. Faith does not bargain with God, nor does it keep glancing over its shoulder to see if the good is coming. Faith walks as though the good were already in hand, smiling at the invisible host that marches beside it. I have known those who speak the word with boldness, yet cancel their own decree by doubting in the next breath. They plant their seed, then trample the ground to see if it has sprouted. They speak abundance in the morning and complain of lack by nightfall. The law cannot bring forth a double harvest. It will bring forth what is most deeply and consistently sown. And so, I say to you, plant your word in faith, and then rest. For faith is rest. Thomas Troward, the great metaphysician, declared that the law of life is one of growth from the unseen to the seen. He taught that if you know a seed's nature, you can predict its fruit. In the same way, if you know the nature of your word, you can predict the outcome, provided you leave it to grow in the soil of unwavering faith. Do not confuse faith with stubborn human will. Will says, I will have it my way, and often collides with the divine pattern. Faith says, it is mine in divine right order, and allows the unseen forces to choose the perfect path. Will wrestles, faith yields, and in yielding, faith triumphs. Consider the child who asks his father for bread. He does not worry if the father will give it. He knows it is his father's joy to provide. He does not rehearse the question again and again. He runs off to play, knowing the bread will be and the table. So must you be in the presence of your heavenly Father. It is written, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. I once counseled a man who was seeking a certain position in his profession. He spoke the word for it daily, but with a tone of strain and urgency. I told him, your urgency is strangling your faith. You are trying to force the flower open before its time. Speak the word and release it. He obeyed, and within a fortnight, the position came to him, not by the path he had expected, but by a better one, bringing twice the salary. Faith had opened the door that force could not. Napoleon Hill, in his study of the wealth builders of the age, found that every one of them possessed an unshakable belief in the outcome of their vision, long before it was visible. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, each faced failures and delays, yet they held to their inner conviction as a captain holds to his course in a storm. The waves may batter, but faith keeps the helm steady. Faith is a spiritual substance. It is the unseen matter from which the seen is shaped. It is the assurance, the title deed, of the thing you have spoken. You may not yet see the house, but the title deed is in your hand. Faith is that deed. To walk in faith is to walk in possession, even while the world calls you empty-handed. Dr. Frank Crane wrote, faith is love taking the form of will, love for the unseen good, will to hold it fast in your mind, even when appearances mock you. This is why the Master said, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. He did not say, believe after you have them. He said, believe that you receive. Now in the invisible. But here is a mystery. Faith is not something you strain to produce. Faith is the natural state of the soul when it is free from fear. Remove fear. And faith flows like a river. This is why your first work is to cast out fear, for fear is the thief of your harvest. It is written, perfect love casteth out fear. Love and faith walk hand in hand. Fear cannot dwell where love abides. I have seen miracles wrought in an hour when faith was pure, and delays stretch for years when faith was mingled with doubt. Faith is the lightning rod that draws the power of heaven to earth. Without it, your words scatter like chaff in the wind. With it, they strike the target unfailingly. Walt Disney once stood before his team, describing Disneyland while it was still a barren plot. One of his colleagues asked, do you really think all this will happen? Disney replied, I don't think it, I know it. That was faith. And today, his vision stands as a testament to the power of speaking and believing without wavering. Faith is not a vague mood, it is a deliberate choice. Each morning, you choose whether to dwell in the house of faith or the prison of doubt. The doors of both stand open. You walk into one by the words you speak and the thoughts you entertain. If you speak in faith, you step into the house where abundance dwells. If you speak in doubt, you step into the cell where lack rules. Beloved, faith is not tested when the sky is clear. It is tested when the clouds gather. Anyone can believe in prosperity when the purse is full, but true faith declares, I have abundance, when the purse is empty, knowing that the purse is not the source. The source is the infinite, and the infinite is never empty. In my own life, I have seen times when all visible means were cut off, yet I walked in peace, for I knew the law was already at work, and always, without fail, the supply arrived in perfect time, not late, not early, but exactly when it was needed. That is the rhythm of faith. It never hurries, it never delays. Christian D. Larson said, so long as you persist in feeling that you lack, that much will be lacking. When you persist in feeling abundance, abundance will be yours. Faith is the fee. Elling of abundance before the form appears. It is the inner climate that draws the outer harvest. Beloved, tonight as you prepare to sleep, release all striving. Speak your word for abundance, for health, for joy. and then rest in the certainty that the seed is planted, the sun is shining, and the harvest is on its way. Let your last thought be one of gratitude, for gratitude is faith rejoicing before the miracle. And when you wake, rise in the spirit of possession. Walk as one who already has what you have asked for. Smile at the invisible riches flowing toward you. Speak to them as friends already on the road. This is faith, to greet your good before it arrives, and to know it will never fail to come. Beloved, the soul that walks in faith is like the eagle upon the wind. It does not flap in frenzy. It rests upon the current that carries it higher. Faith is the great updraft of the Spirit, lifting you above the storms of appearance into the clear sky of truth. Down below, the winds may rage, the waves may crash, but the eagle rides the invisible strength that never falters. The unseen current is more real than the tempest. So too, the unseen supply is more real than the visible lack. Faith lives from the unseen. It dines at the table of the invisible before the feast is laid in the visible. This is why the Master said, "Blessed are they that have not seen, and yet have believed." To believe after you see is merely agreement. To believe before you see is creation. Henry Ford was once asked how he kept his composure during the early years when his automobile company was on the brink of collapse. He replied, "My mind is on the finished car, not the difficulties." Faith does not waste time staring at obstacles. It fixes its gaze on the completed vision. In the laboratory of the soul, your vision is already complete. Faith is the key that unlocks it into form. You must understand this. Faith and fear are not mere feelings. They are creative forces. Faith calls forth your good. Fear calls forth your evil. Both are seeds. Both grow. If you fear lack, you summon lack. If you fear illness, you magnetize illness. Fear is faith in the wrong thing. It is belief in the power of appearances, rather than in the power of God. And yet, the moment you turn that same energy toward truth, it becomes the very faith that delivers you. A young woman once came to me, desperate over her finances. She feared eviction, feared the disgrace of poverty. I told her, "You must starve your fear and feed your faith." I instructed her to affirm, "Infinite Spirit, I thank Thee that I am supplied in every need. I walk in abundance now." At first, she repeated the words mechanically, her mind still haunted by fear, but she persisted. In a few days, a relative she had not heard from in years sent her a gift sufficient to clear her debts. She said, "I felt my fear dissolve when I began to speak the words with joy." That is the moment faith took the throne. Faith speaks in the language of the accomplished fact. It says, "I am," not "I will be." It says, "It is done," not "It will be done someday." The subconscious mind accepts the word in the present tense. It knows nothing of tomorrow. When you say, "I will be rich," the subconscious hears only that you are not rich now, and it keeps you in that state. But when you say, "I am rich," and feel the truth of it, you plant the seed of wealth in the soil of the now. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. The conceiving is the vision, the believing is the faith. Without belief, your conception is but a shadow. With belief, it is the blueprint for reality." Beloved, you cannot have faith and anxiety in the same breath. Faith is a clear channel, anxiety clogs it with debris. Reese. This is why the scripture says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God." Thanksgiving is the aroma of faith. You cannot thank God sincerely for something you do not believe you will receive. A businessman once told me he had been affirming prosperity for months, yet no change had come. I asked, "When you speak your affirmation, do you feel the joy of possession?" He admitted he felt only the tension of wanting. I told him, "You are watering your seed with want, not with faith. Want says, 'I lack.' Faith says, 'I have.' Speak from the place of having." He made the shift, and within a month, his long-stalled contracts began to close. Remember, faith is not a vague mist, it is substance. Hebrews declares, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Substance is real, tangible, though invisible. Faith is the raw material from which the visible is woven. When you speak in faith, you draw that substance around your word until it takes shape in your life. Prentice Mulford taught that the law works in exact accordance with your mental atmosphere. Faith creates an atmosphere of reception. Doubt creates an atmosphere of resistance. In an atmosphere of faith, the good rushes toward you as a bird to its nest. In an atmosphere of doubt, it hovers at a distance, waiting for the welcome it has not yet received. Beloved, let your faith be simple. Do not make it a burden of complex formulas and endless rituals. The sparrow does not strain to believe in the morning, it simply wakes and sings, knowing the worm will be there. The lily does not question the rain, it opens to receive it. So must you trust the provision of the infinite. I have known people who prayed and affirmed with their lips, yet held an inner picture of failure. Faith is not merely in the word you speak, it is in the image you carry. Your inner picture must agree with your outer word, or the two will cancel each other. See yourself as you wish to be, and speak as though you already are. Then both image and word will pull in the same direction, and your manifestation will be swift. One evening, I was speaking to a gathering on this very truth, when a woman interrupted, saying, "But what if I can't believe? What if my faith is too small?" I told her, faith is not measured by size, but by purity. Even a mustard seed is enough, if it is free from doubt. She went home and spoke a single, clear word for her son's employment. 2 days later, he received a position that had seemed impossible to obtain. Faith is the art of living as though the promise were already fulfilled. It is the discipline of speaking from the mountaintop while your feet are still climbing the trail. And here is the glory of it. The moment you speak from the summit, the path itself begins to rise to meet you. Carl Jung said that what you accept within yourself shapes the world around you. Faith accepts the highest truth about you, that you are one with infinite supply, health, love, and joy. When you accept that truth, life bends itself to mirror your acceptance. Beloved, tonight and every night, I would have you practice this holy exercise. Before sleep, see yourself walking in the full glory of your answered prayer. Speak aloud, "It is done. I rest in the finished work of God." Let your body sink into the bed as your soul sinks into trust. This is the rest of faith, and it is the sure prelude to manifestation. When the morning comes, let your first act be gratitude. Speak your thanks before your feet touch the floor. Faith thrives on praise. It withers in complaint. Praise is the sunlight in which the seed of your word bursts into bloom. And so, beloved, I tell you this unchanging truth. The measure of your life will be the measure of your faith. Speak the word, and believe it. Stand in the unseen until it stands before you in the seen. Let no wind of doubt blow out the lamp of your certainty, for he who stands in faith stands in the sure path of miracles. Beloved, faith holds the seed, but vision shapes the harvest. Without vision, your faith is like sunlight falling on bare ground, warm, but without a seed to quicken. It is written, where there is no vision, the people perish. And I tell you, where there is no vision, the wealth withers, the health fades, the joy dissolves into shadow. Vision is the divine blueprint. It is the image held so clearly in the mind and heart that the universe bends itself to make it flesh. When God spoke, "Let there be light," he already beheld the light in his being. The word is the decree, faith is the assurance, but vision is the picture into which the substance must flow. A man without vision walks in circles, repeating the past. He may speak words of abundance, but if he sees himself as poor, the law will obey the deeper image. For the subconscious mind is the great projector, and it cannot project onto the screen of life what has not first been developed within. Thomas Edison, before he ever built the electric lamp, saw it in his mind, glowing, casting light where darkness had reigned. He did not begin with the fragments of invention. He began with the complete vision and worked backward into the parts. This is the divine pattern. The end is seen first, and the means unfold in obedience to that image. Napoleon Hill called this a definite chief aim. The one clear vision that orders all your energies, draws to you the people and resources, and keeps you from distraction. A scattered vision scatters results, but a single, radiant vision gathers the power of heaven to a point, and that point pierces the veil of the unseen. Beloved, you must dare to see beyond your present surroundings. Do not make the prison of today your only view. Lift up your eyes to the hills from whence comes your help. Your circumstances are the scaffolding, not the temple. The temple is already complete in the invisible, and your vision is the doorway through which you step into it. I have known those who refuse to paint a picture of their good, fearing disappointment. They said, "If I expect nothing, I cannot be hurt." But in truth, they are already hurt, for they live without the joy of anticipation. Vision is the artist's sketch before the masterpiece. Would the artist refuse to sketch for fear the painting might fail? No. He sketches to bring the painting into being. One woman came to me longing for a home of her own. She had lived in rented rooms for years, telling herself it was good enough. I told her, you must make a picture of the home you desire. See it, furnish it, walk through it in your mind until it becomes as real to you as your present dwelling. She obeyed, cutting out images from magazines, arranging them in a book, visiting neighborhoods, and feeling herself already at home there. Within 6 months, a distant relative left her a sum of money sufficient to purchase a house that matched her vision in every detail. Vision must be specific enough to inspire, yet flexible enough to allow the infinite to improve upon it. Do not chain God to the limits of your imagination. Give him a sketch and let him add the colors you never knew existed. The Israelites were promised a land flowing with milk and honey. They did not dictate the location or the architecture. They held the vision of abundance, and the details unfolded. Andrew Carnegie once said he saw himself as the richest man in the world, long before he was one in fact. That vision ordered his actions, attracted opportunities, and filtered out distractions. Without it, he might have pursued many ventures and succeeded at none. Vision is the compass that keeps your ship from drifting on the open sea. Beloved, the law of vision is impartial. It will produce the picture you hold, whether it be glorious or grim. Hold an image of failure, and the law will set the stage for your defeat. Hold an image of triumph, and the law will open the gates of victory. Your imagination is not a toy. It is the womb of creation. Guard it as you would guard your most precious treasure. Walt Disney walked the empty acreage of Florida swampland and said, "Here will stand a kingdom of joy." Others saw mosquitoes and mud. He saw castles and parades. His vision was so vivid that those around him could see it too, and in time, the invisible kingdom became visible stone and mortar. Dr. Frank Crane wrote, "The man who imagines himself successful will work like a successful man. The man who imagines himself defeated will behave like a defeated man. Your behavior will always follow your vision, and your results will follow your behavior. Change the picture, and you change the play." Vision must be nourished daily. It is not enough to see it once and forget it. Feed it with thought, water it with gratitude, protect it from the frost of doubt. When fear comes whispering, "It is too much, it is too late," return to the vision and let it speak louder. "It is mine, it is now, it is done." I once knew a man who desired to travel the world, yet his income barely covered his needs. I told him, "Begin by traveling in your mind. Walk the streets of Paris in thought. Sit at the cafes, hear the music. Read books, look at pictures, speak of your journeys as though they were already memories." He did so, and within a year, an opportunity arose through his work that sent him abroad, all expenses paid. His vision had prepared the way. Beloved, wabiyu. When your vision and your word agree, and your faith holds them steady, nothing can prevent the manifestation. You will move through life as one who already lives in the finished work, for in truth, you do. The unseen is more real than the seen, and your vision is the window through which the unseen becomes visible. So I say to you tonight, lift your eyes, see beyond the shadow into the glory, paint the picture boldly, frame it with faith, and hang it in the gallery of your soul. Walk through it in your mind until it feels like home. For the day will come when you will walk through it in the flesh, and you will say, "I have been here before." Beloved, the tragedy of most lives is not the lack of talent or opportunity, but the lack of vision. Many wait for circumstances to improve before they dare to see greater things, but this is not the way of the Spirit. You must see beyond what is, into what shall be, and hold it with a grip that will not let go, even when the storm rages. I tell you, the storm itself will serve the vision if you refuse to release it. Consider Joseph of old. He dreamed a dream in which his brothers bowed before him. That vision carried him through betrayal, slavery, and prison. Every seeming setback was a step toward the throne. Had he let go of the vision, he would have perished in the dungeon. Instead, he became the ruler of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh, because he never forgot the image God had planted in his heart. Vision is not fantasy. Fantasy is idle wandering of the mind with no root in faith. Vision is rooted in conviction. It is the picture of a reality so certain that all heaven and earth will labor to bring it forth. Thomas Troward said, "The law of flotation was not discovered by contemplating the sinking of things. Likewise, the vision of abundance will not come by staring at lack. If you desire wealth, you must see yourself in possession of it, using it wisely, giving freely, walking in dignity. The mind becomes magnetized by the image it holds most often, and magnetized mind draws its match in the physical." Ella Wheeler Wilcox wrote, "You never can tell what your thoughts will do in bringing you hate or love, for thoughts are things, and their airy wings are swifter than carrier doves. Your vision is the queen of your thoughts, and she will send out her messengers into the world to fetch what she commands. I knew a man who held a vision of a grand business empire. His friends mocked him, for he had no capital and no formal education. But he walked, spoke, and dressed as though he were already the head of a thriving company. He carried blueprints in his mind, making plans as though the funds were already in hand. Within 5 years, a series of coincidences placed him in partnership with a wealthy investor who shared his vision. That which he had pictured daily now stood in brick and stone before him. This is the law. What you internalize with feeling becomes externalized with fact. You cannot hold the image of poverty and reap abundance. You cannot envision failure and walk into success. The soil of the subconscious will bring forth whatever seed is planted, whether weed or wheat. Prentice Mulford said, "To hold yourself in the thought of prosperity, even when in poverty, will bring prosperity to you. For the thought is the mold, and prosperity is the molten gold that takes its shape." Beloved, when you close your eyes tonight, you must see yourself in your desired state with such clarity that the subconscious cannot tell whether it is memory or imagination. The subconscious mind does not reason. It accepts the images you feed it and works tirelessly to make them real. This is why Jesus said, "When you pray, believe that you receive them and you shall have them." Not believe that you will receive them someday. Believe that you have received them now. And belief is not merely a statement. It is a picture so vivid that you feel the reality of it in your bones. Do not fear to make your vision large. You insult the Creator when you ask too little. The same infinite mind that made the stars can bring you a business, a home, a fortune, or a healing. All things are made from one substance, the divine substance, and it knows no limit but the limit you impose with small vision. Annie Ricks Millets wrote, "You will never outgrow your vision, you will only grow into it. So if you would rise, set your vision high, and let your faith climb to meet it." G.I. Gurdjieff spoke of the magnetic center within a man, that inner pull that draws toward itself all that resonates with its nature. Your vision is that magnetic center. What you hold inwardly will arrange your outward world. The people you meet, the opportunities you encounter, the decisions you make, all are influenced by the vision you carry. When I desired to write my first book, I saw it finished, bound, and in the hands of readers before a word was written. I saw letters from those whose lives had changed because of it. That vision gave me the courage to write when inspiration was thin, to persevere when critics scoffed, to finish when distractions called. And in time, I held in my hand exactly what I had seen. Beloved, I tell you this. Vision without faith is daydreaming. Faith without vision is wandering. But vision with faith is destiny. Tonight, as you listen, dare to paint the most glorious picture of your life. Not as it is, but as it is ordained to be. Speak it with your word, hold it with your faith, and see it with your vision until it becomes the only reality your mind will accept. Then, watch as the world rearranges itself to match the picture you have chosen. For the law is sure. According to your faith be it unto you, and faith always follows the vision. Beloved, the vision is the lamp, but right action is the oil that keeps it burning. A vision held without movement is like a seed kept forever in a drawer. Perfect in potential, but lifeless in result. You may speak the word and hold the vision in the secret chamber of your heart, but the law will require your feet to walk toward it. Faith is not waiting in stillness for the tide to carry you to shore. It is setting your sail and moving in the direction of your good, even when the horizon is still bare. When the children of Israel stood before the Red Sea, God did not part the waters while they remained in fear. He said to Moses, "Lift up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground." The waters moved when Moses acted in obedience to the vision. The law of right action is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. You must move as though your vision is already fact. The man who sees himself wealthy begins to act as a wise steward now. The woman who sees herself healed walks as though her body were already whole. Your action speaks to the subconscious in a language it cannot misunderstand. Christian D. Larson wrote, "Act as if you were, and you will be." This is not pretense, it is prophecy in motion. Your actions are declarations to the universe. When you prepare the ground, plant the seed, and water it, you are declaring, "The harvest is coming, and I am ready to receive it." I knew a young man who longed to be a great orator. He held the vision of speaking before thousands, but no such opportunity had appeared. I told him, "Begin where you are, speak to small gatherings, record yourself, study the art of the voice." He obeyed, and within a year, he was invited to deliver a keynote address at a major conference, an opportunity that came not by chance, but by alignment with his vision through action. Right action does not mean frantic action. It is not running in all directions, hoping one will be right. It is action guided by the inner knowing that comes from faith. There is a still, small voice that will say, "This is the way, walk ye in it." That voice is the compass of divine intelligence, and when you follow it, you will find that each step is perfectly timed. Think of Andrew Carnegie again. He did not simply dream of wealth, he laid bricks of enterprise day by day, each one aligned with his vision. The world calls it persistence, but in truth, it is obedience to the law of right action. The man who will not act is like one who will not breathe. Life cannot flow through him. Beloved, every great work you admire was not only envisioned but built. Walt Disney did not merely imagine the Magic Kingdom. He took the daily steps, negotiated the contracts, hired the builders, and stood in the dust of construction before the castles rose. Without his right action, his vision would have remained a pleasant dream. Dr. Frank Crane said, "The secret of getting things done is to act. For action is the match that lights the fire of manifestation." You may say, "But I do not know what the whole plan is." You need not know. The plan will unfold step by step as you move. The ship does not see the whole coastline when it leaves the harbor, yet each turn of the wheel brings it nearer to its destination. When you act in faith, you signal to the universe that you are prepared to receive. If you envision a business, register the name, design the logo, set aside a space for your office. If you envision a home, begin clearing space in your current dwelling for the furniture you will have. If you envision a new life, begin releasing the objects, habits, and associations that belong to the old one. Non-resistance also plays here. For sometimes right action is the willingness to let go rather than to grasp. To cling to the wrong thing is to block the right one from entering. I have known women who could not receive the love they desired because they would not release the relationship that drained them. I have known men who could not step into wealth because they clung to work that paid too little, fearing the risk of change. Right action is fearless action. It trusts the law enough to move without demanding proof. It says, "I will walk through the door, though I cannot yet see the other side," for it knows that the other side will appear the moment the step is taken. Beloved, you may think your small actions are insignificant, but every stroke of the chisel shapes the statue. Every letter the author writes shapes the book. Every brick the mason lays shapes the house. The man who waits for the perfect moment to act will wait until the stars fall from the sky, for perfection is found only in movement. Napoleon Hill told the story of the man who stopped 3 feet from gold. He had the vision and took the action, but he lacked persistence. He abandoned the work just before the breakthrough. Right action is sustained action. It does not quit when the wind changes, but adjusts the sail and continues forward. G.I. Gurdjieff spoke of conscious labor, the deliberate application of effort toward a defined aim. That is right action. It is not the aimless spinning of the wheel, but the purposeful turning that drives the cart toward the destination. You are not called to do everything, only to do what is yours to do. The infinite will send others to play their part when you play yours. Divine orchestration requires each musician to attend to his own instrument, not to attempt the whole symphony alone. And so, beloved, as you hold your vision tonight, ask yourself, what is my next right action? Then do it without delay, without fear, without doubt. For when vision, faith, and right action unite, the manifestation is inevitable. Beloved, even when the vision is clear and the action is right, there is yet a sacred law that governs the unfolding of all things, the law of divine timing. The seed you plant today will not bear fruit tomorrow, for the soil must work its hidden alchemy, the sun must give its warmth, the rains must bless it in their appointed season. Impatience is the thief of miracles. Many have planted their good in faith, watered it with action, and then, because the harvest did not appear in the moment they demanded, they dug it up to see if it was growing, killing the very life they sought to nurture. The oak tree does not envy the lily for blooming sooner, nor does the lily despair that it is not the oak. Each has its appointed hour, and when that hour comes, nothing can prevent the flower from opening. The scriptures say, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven." Divine timing is not delay, it is perfection. The infinite mind knows the precise moment when your good will bless you most and harm you least. To receive before you are prepared is to suffer under the weight of your own desire. Consider the child who demands the keys to a chariot before he has learned to walk. What would be a blessing in the appointed time would be destruction in the premature moment. So it is with wealth, with position, with love, with every treasure you seek. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb in a single spark of genius. 10,000 trials prepared the way for one perfect glow. Those trials were not failure, they were timing. Each experiment bringing him closer to the appointed hour when light would flood the darkness. Andrew Carnegie did not awake one morning to find himself master of steel. Years of learning the industry, meeting the right men, and seizing the right hour prepared him for the moment when his fortune would unfold. If the opportunity had come too soon, it would have passed him by, for he would not yet have been ready to grasp it. You must trust that the delay you feel is not punishment, but positioning. The divine is aligning people, places, and conditions to create a stage worthy of the vision you hold. If the curtain rises before the actors are in place, the play will fail. But when all is ready, the curtain lifts and the scene is perfect. Carl Jung spoke of synchronicity, those mysterious alignments that seem like chance, yet carry the signature of purpose. This is the fingerprint of divine timing. When the time is right, you will find the door unlocked, the letter arriving at the precise hour, the encounter occurring at the very moment it is needed. You cannot rush the tide, but you can be ready when it comes in. The fisherman who mends his nets in the waiting time will catch the great haul when the waters rise. The one who sleeps in idleness will watch the harvest pass him by. Beloved, there is a rhythm to all creation, the beating of the heart, the waxing and waning of the moon, the turning of the seasons. When you align your life with this rhythm, you no longer strain against the current, but move with it in effortless power. Swami Vivekananda said, "Take up one idea, make that one idea your life, think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success." And I add, leave the timing to the divine. The rose does not bloom because it forces its petals open. It blooms because the sun, the soil, and the season call to it. You too will know your moment by the peace that fills you, the doors that open without strain, and the effortless ease with which your good arrives. In my own life, I have seen prayers answered in what the world would call the last moment, but I have learned there is no last moment, there is only the right moment, and when that moment comes, all heaven moves to deliver what is yours. So tonight, release your timeline. Place your desire upon the altar of divine order and say, "Thy will be done," and thy will is perfect timing. Then walk in joy, knowing that what is yours cannot be withheld, and what is withheld is not yet yours. For the law is sure, when the vision is held in faith, and the action is taken in obedience, the timing will be perfect. Beloved, when the vision is clear, the action right, and the timing perfect, there is yet another key that unlocks the gates of manifestation, the law of non-resistance. For even the swiftest river will stagnate if you build dams of fear, resentment, and stubborn will along its course. Non-resistance is not weakness, it is mastery. It is the understanding that the infinite cannot be opposed and that to struggle against the current of life is to exhaust yourself in vain. The Christ said, "Resist not evil." He did not mean to submit to injustice, but to refuse to meet force with force, to refuse to fight shadows with shadows. When you push against the door that is meant to stay closed, you bruise your own hands. When you pull and strain at the rope of life, demanding that it move in your way and in your hour, you wrap yourself in knots of tension. But when you release the rope, the tension dissolves and you are free to move toward the open doors. The law of non-resistance is the art of flowing. Water does not resist the rock in its path. It moves around it, wears it smooth, and continues its journey to the sea. In the same way, when an obstacle appears in your path, you need not break yourself against it. Go around, go over, or simply wait for the tide to lift you beyond it. Thomas Troward taught that the more we fight a condition, the more power we give it. If you wrestle with a problem, you feed it your attention and your energy, and thus it grows. But if you turn from it and give your attention to the solution, the problem shrinks into the nothingness from which it came. I have seen men lose fortunes because they would not release a failing venture. They clung to it out of pride or fear, pouring good money after bad, resisting the truth that a greater good was waiting if they would but let go. And I have seen women cling to friendships and loves long after their season had ended, resisting the call to move into new life, and so they delayed their blessing. Beloved, resistance is rooted in fear. Fear that if you let go, you will be left with nothing. But the law is this: nothing real can be lost, and nothing lost was real. When you release what is no longer aligned with your vision, you clear the way for the greater good to enter. Dr. Frank Crane said, "You may think that you are holding on to something, but it is that something that is holding you back." Non-resistance is the deliberate cutting of the tether. Non-resistance is also the shield of peace. When others criticize or oppose you, you need not meet them on the battlefield. Agree with your adversary quickly, as the scripture says, not in surrender of truth, but in surrender of needless conflict. For to engage in strife is to descend into the vibration of strife, and manifestation cannot bloom in such soil. G.I. Gurdjieff observed that most people spend their lives reacting, resisting life's events with emotion, judgment, and struggle. But the awakened soul responds with awareness, allowing events to pass through without leaving a wound. Andrew Carnegie faced failures, losses, and betrayals, yet he moved through them with calm purpose. He did not waste his see in resisting what had already occurred. Instead, he used his energy to build anew, to flow with the changes, and thus he turned setbacks into stepping stones. Non-resistance is not passivity. It is the deliberate choice to move with the higher will, trusting that the divine knows the shortest path to your good, and that path may lead you through unexpected valleys and around unforeseen turns. If you resist these turns, you only delay your arrival. Beloved, imagine a great eagle riding the wind. It does not fight the air currents. It spreads its wings and lets the wind lift it higher. So must you learn to trust the currents of your life. When the wind changes, you adjust your wings. You do not demand that the wind obey you. Ella Wheeler. Wilcox wrote, "It is the set of the sail, and not the gale, that determines the way we go." Non-resistance is the wise setting of your sail to the wind that is, rather than cursing the wind that is not. When you cease to resist, you enter the flow of divine provision. The obstacles that seemed immovable begin to shift. The people you thought opposed you either step aside or transform into allies. The delays you feared reveal themselves as blessings in disguise. Let go, beloved. Release the grasp. Unclench the fist. Open the hand. Say, I flow with divine order. I trust the path. I resist nothing, and so nothing can oppose me. And you will find that the moment you surrender the struggle, the thing you longed for will arrive, not by the force of your will, but by the ease of your alignment. Manifestation is not the sudden appearance of something out of nothing. It is the unveiling of that which has been in the unseen, awaiting your recognition. The moment you claim it in faith, the thing claimed begins its journey toward you, not from a far-off place, but from the infinite substance in which you already dwell. Your good exists now. It is not in the future, not hidden in some unreachable heaven. It is here, in the field of divine substance that surrounds you, waiting to take form through your word, your faith, your vision, and your obedience. The scriptures declare, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Note that faith is not hope. Hope lives in the future. Faith lives in the now. Hope says, it will come someday. Faith says, it is mine now. And because faith claims it now, the unseen moves swiftly to make it seen. Manifestation is governed by the same law that governs a seed. When you plant it, you do not go out each day to dig it up and check on its progress. You trust the soil to do its perfect work in the darkness. And then, in due season, the sprout breaks forth into the light. So it is with your word. The moment you speak in faith, the roots of your desire begin to take hold in the unseen realm. Your role is to water it with gratitude, to keep it free from the weeds of doubt, and to expect its appearing with quiet joy. Napoleon Hill, who studied the lives of the most successful men of his time, wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But hear this, beloved, the conception is the planting of the seed, and the belief is the watering of it. Without belief, your seed dries in the ground." I have known people who tried to manifest. They affirmed, they visualized, but all the while, their hearts whispered, "It will never happen for me." And so it did not. The soil of their soul was poisoned with unbelief. But I have seen others who spoke a single word in absolute faith. And the manifestation appeared in miraculous ways, because they did not doubt. Dr. Joseph Murphy often said that the subconscious mind will accept as true whatever is impressed upon it with feeling. This is why idle affirmations, spoken without belief, bear little fruit. But a single declaration spoken with conviction, felt as already real, will move mountains. Manifestation is also alignment. You cannot speak abundance and then act in poverty of spirit. You cannot affirm love and then walk in bitterness. You cannot declare health and then feed upon fear. The vibration of your life must match the vibration of your desire. Walt Disney did not simply wish for Disneyland. He lived in the reality of it long before it was built. He walked the streets of his dream in his mind, hearing the laughter of children, smelling the popcorn, seeing the colors, And because he lived in it so vividly, the world around him eventually rose to meet his vision. Beloved, you manifest what you are, not what you merely want. If you desire wealth, become wealth conscious, not in greed, but in the awareness that abundance is your divine inheritance. If you desire health, become health conscious, not in fear of disease, but in the joy of well-being. If you desire love, become love conscious, not in longing, but in the radiant giving of love. Christian D. Larson wrote, "To give much, we must think much. To give largely, we must think largely." Manifestation is the giving of your inner reality to the outer world, until the outer matches the inner. You must also release the how. The how is the concern of the divine. When you speak your word, the infinite mind begins to arrange circumstances, open doors, and align people in ways you could not orchestrate. Your part is to hold the end result in perfect clarity and leave the details to the one who sees the whole. I have watched miracles unfold in ways no human strategy could plan. A debt canceled by an unexpected inheritance, a job created that never existed before, a home provided without a mortgage. The manifestation came because the speaker of the word trusted the law, acted when prompted, and allowed the infinite to arrange the steps. Do not make the mistake of thinking manifestation is only. This is why the parable of the talents teaches that the servant who buried his gift lost it, while those who put their talents to use multiplied them. The law is precise. Whatever you use in faith increases, whatever you hide in fear diminishes. Beloved, to sustain abundance, you must live in the same faith that brought it to you. The vibration that manifests your good is the same vibration that maintains it. If you drop into fear after the blessing arrives, you sever the connection to the source and begin to drain the supply. Dr. Frank Crane said, "Prosperity is not in the having, but in the using, not in the possessing, but in the enjoying." If you do not enjoy your blessing, if you clutch it with a trembling hand, you are telling the universe that you do not believe there will be more, and so, more will not come. Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men of his time, gave away vast sums in philanthropy, not because he had enough to spare, but because he understood that giving kept the channels of abundance open. He became a conduit for good, and so the stream never ceased. The same is true for health, for love, for opportunity. If you receive love, give love. If you receive healing, share the energy of that healing with others. If you receive an opportunity, create opportunities for those around you. For what you release in joy returns to you multiplied. Do not fear the ebb of the tide, for the tide always returns. Seasons of harvest and seasons of sowing are both part of the divine rhythm. When a harvest seems smaller than before, do not fall into despair. Use the time to plant seeds in new fields, knowing the cycle will turn again. Christian D. Larson wrote, "The measure of your faith is the measure of your supply." Faith keeps the channel open in both lean times and plentiful times. In plenty, faith says, "This is only the beginning." In want, faith says, "The tide is already turning." Beloved, many destroy their own abundance by allowing guilt to creep in after receiving. They say in their hearts, "Perhaps I do not deserve this, perhaps I took too much." And in that self-condemnation, they cut off the flow. Hear me, what God gives, you are meant to have. The giver of all good does not make mistakes. When you sustain your blessing in gratitude and right use, you also prepare it to multiply. Multiplication happens when the blessing is in motion. Money circulates, love circulates, ideas circulate, and in that circulation, they gather interest. Napoleon Hill called this the momentum of success. A blessing in motion draws more blessings into its orbit. Just as a moving train gathers speed with each turn of the wheels, your abundance gathers power the more you put it to use. You must also guard against the old patterns that might try to creep back in. Poverty thinking, fear of loss, resentment toward others' success. These are like rust upon gold. Keep your thoughts clean, your gratitude fresh, and your faith active so that the blessing remains untarnished. Remember, you are not the source. You are the steward. The source is infinite and unfailing. Your part is to remain a faithful channel, allowing the blessing to pass through you into the world, trusting that as you give, you shall also receive, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Say within yourself, "I am a faithful steward of all that I receive. I use my blessings with wisdom, and so they multiply without end." And as you speak it, you will feel the flow quicken, the channel widen, and the stream of abundance grow deeper and swifter in your life. Completion is not merely the end of a thing, it is the crown of the law fulfilled. A seed does not strive to become a tree. It simply yields to the process until the process is complete. The fruit does not rush to ripen. It receives the sun, the rain, and the season until the sweetness is full. So it is with every divine idea planted in the garden of your soul. In Genesis, after the creation of heaven and earth, the scripture says, "And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good." That is divine completion. The moment when what you have spoken, believed, and acted upon stands before you in undeniable reality, and you can say with the Creator, "It is good." Beloved, many lose their harvest because they step away from the field too soon. They plant in faith, they water with gratitude, but at the first sign of delay, they abandon the process. The law does not reward impatience. Divine completion is for the one who stands, and having done all, stands still. Thomas Troward, whose writings shaped so many new thought leaders, said, "Principle is not limited by precedent. This means the law will bring your completion in ways that may not resemble the beginnings you imagined. Do not despise the form in which your good arrives. The package may be different, but the substance will be exactly right." Florence Scovel Shinn. I, in my own ministry, have told students again and again, never outline the way in which your good will come. Your part is the vision and the faith. The infinite's part is the method and the moment. If you cling to your outline, you may miss the true blessing. Completion often arrives in stillness. It comes like the dawn, not with a trumpet but with a gradual unveiling of light. One day you wake, and the thing you prayed for is simply there, natural as breathing. In that moment, you understand why you had to wait. The timing was perfect, the pieces aligned, and you were ready to receive without fear of loss. G.I. Gurdjieff taught that most people live in a state of half-finished actions, leaving the mind cluttered with what is unresolved. This is why completion is powerful. It frees your energy, clears your spirit, and opens the way for new creation. When the cycle is closed in gratitude, your soul is ready for the next divine assignment. The enemy of completion is distraction. How often have you begun a work in joy, only to wander into something else when the middle grew difficult? The soil of manifestation is faithfulness, staying with the work until the fruit is in your hand. The moment of breakthrough is often just beyond the point where most give up. Walt Disney faced financial ruin more than once, but he refused to leave his visions half-built. Disneyland was not a fragment. It was a world fully realized because he saw it through to its divine end, and because he completed it, millions have entered into his dream. Beloved, the law of divine completion carries with it the joy of Sabbath, the rest that comes after the harvest. It is the inner knowing that nothing has been left undone, that you have fulfilled the purpose of that season, and from that rest, you rise ready for greater works. Say within yourself now, "The work the Lord has begun in me, he will also complete. I do not waver in faith, for I know the end is secure." As you affirm this, feel the peace of completion settling over your spirit. You need not rush. You need only trust the process until it is perfect and whole. And when your good stands before you, receive it fully. Do not diminish it with doubt. Do not rush past it to the next thing without savoring the blessing. Give thanks with the fullness of your heart, for gratitude seals the manifestation and keeps the cycle of blessing unbroken. For the law that begins with the Word always ends with the Word made flesh. And that, beloved, is the eternal rhythm of creation. From the beginning, the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and all that has been made was made through it. We began this journey with the law of the spoken word, and we end it here, not in an ending at all, but in the eternal circle where endings are. The only beginnings in another form. Everything you have heard in these hours has been one truth, sung in many keys. You are a divine creator, a co-worker with God, and the substance of your life is shaped by the unseen patterns of your thought, your faith, and your word. Every lack you have known has been the shadow cast by fear. Every blessing you have tasted has been the light born of faith. Faith is the hand that takes hold of the infinite. Vision is the blueprint of the soul. Right action is the bridge from the unseen to the seen. Divine timing is the rhythm of heaven, guiding each step. Non-resistance is the oil that keeps the wheels of creation turning without friction. And manifestation is the song completed, the picture painted, the promise fulfilled. The law is never broken. It is only fulfilled or unfulfilled according to your alignment with it. And when you align with it, when your thoughts, words, and actions move as one with the divine pattern, then you live in the kingdom here and now. Beloved, this is not a treasure you must chase. It is a treasure already within you, waiting for recognition. The Christ within you is the unfailing source of all supply. The more you look to outer things for your abundance, the more you miss the wellspring at the center of your being. But when you turn inward, when you speak the word from the place of oneness with God, all that you require, and more will rush to you with perfect ease. Napoleon Hill said, "What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But I tell you, what the soul can decree in harmony with divine law, it will not only achieve, it will receive pressed down, shaken together, and running over." We have walked through the garden of spiritual law together, touching the leaves of truth, smelling the fragrance of faith, tasting the fruit of manifestation. Yet this is not the end of your journey. This is the awakening of your divine remembrance. You will walk from this moment with a new authority, speaking the language of heaven into the affairs of earth. Do not let these words fade like a dream upon waking. Write them upon your heart. Speak them in the quiet and in the storm. Live them in the marketplace and in the secret place. And you will see the mountains move, the walls fall, and the seas part before you. For the Lord your God delights in your prosperity. The infinite does not withhold, it pours out without measure to the one who asks in faith, believes without doubt, and receives with gratitude. So I say to you now, go forth, not as a beggar at the gates of heaven, but as an heir walking into the palace of your inheritance. The wealth of the kingdom is yours, the joy of the kingdom is yours, the peace of the kingdom is yours, and no man, no circumstance, no season can take it from you. Beloved, the word has been spoken, the seed has been sown. Now let the law do its perfect work. Rest in the assurance that what you have claimed tonight will appear, not by struggle, but by the effortless unfolding of divine order. And as you go, let your life itself be a testimony, a living proof that the law works, that faith prevails, and that God's abundance is without end. If these words have awakened something deep within you, if you have felt the spark of divine remembrance in your soul, then I invite you. Subscribe to this channel and share this message, that others may find the same truth and walk in the same light. For together, we are the builders of a new heaven and a new earth, and our words are the bricks and the beams of that eternal house. And so it is.